Ever since the days of JFK, the philosophy of a younger, healthy, vigorous population in the United States, healthy population, has fortunately pervaded most kids growing up today. We are very interested in athletics, and we're now recently becoming interested in diet control to prevent juvenile obesity, which leads to diabetes at a young age, which of course is a bad problem. But in our attempt to stay vigorous and athletic and youthful, there are certain procedures that happen as we age over which we have no control. We can control it to some extent. I mean, aging of the skin is a natural thing that happens, and it's usually characterized by loss of elasticity in the tissue. It's elastic tissue that helps us fight gravity. So for example, if you take the skin on the top of your hand and you pull it up and let go, it drops right back down. Why? Because of the elastic fibers that are in our skin. But if you go up to grandma's eyelids and you pull her eyelids out with all this extra skin and pop it back, it takes a minute or so for that skin to settle back down, because as we age, we naturally lose elastic fibers in our skin. So basically, what I call facelifting is my anti-gravity procedure. I'm pulling back up everything that gravity pulled down as we lose our elastic tissue. Today, you usually think about facelifts as a operation we do on women only, but not so anymore. About 10% of our patients are men, and it increases yearly. We do more and more men yearly. A lot of them start out having their eyelids done, because that in itself, bless you, that in itself can take about 10 years off your appearance just to do your eyelids when they get baggy and wrinkly. But many of the ones we see for the first procedure follow their wives. We've done their wives, and their wives look great. And they say, my gosh, I look so much older than my wife does now. I mean, people are joking that I'm dating my daughter, or I've got a new young girlfriend. And so they come in wanting to look better. And as a matter of fact, I'm doing a man Thursday this week, whose wife I've done, and she keeps dragging him every time she came in for a post-op check or to have her stitches out or what have you. He would, of course, bring her, and she just started bugging him. No, it's really not that bad. You need to do it too. The facelift operation, and by the way, this is frequently combined with the eyelids. We frequently do the eyelid lift, which is called a blepharoplasty, and a facelift, which is called a rhytidectomy, at the same time. It makes a lot of sense, so that the face still looks uniform. You don't have old eyes on a young face. It's a long operation to do the eyelids and the facelift together. Take me approximately 3 to 3.5 hours. A lot of other people spend 4 to 5 hours in it, but I've been doing this for 38 years, and I have a technique that's down. And basically what we're trying to do is counteract the effects of gravity, and this is mostly apparent in the neck. Women come in, what they want is their neck and their jowls done. You can almost take a line and draw it across the mid-face, where this part looks much older than this part. And therefore the technique is basically geared to lift everything back up where it belongs. So the incision starts up in the hairline, comes down in front of the ear. Everyone has a crease, a natural skin crease right in front of the ear, and we try to put it in that crease so that the eye, again, to fool the eye, because when we look at people, we're used to seeing a line there, and whether that line is a natural skin crease or a scar doesn't matter to the brain. It sees the line, doesn't pay any attention to it, because we're used to seeing it. So we try to hide the incision in a natural skin line, which runs in front of the ear, and then it comes down under the earlobe, up behind the ear, and then off into the hairline again behind the ear. Through that incision, we dissect the skin up off the face, all the way from the ear to the corner of the eye, down by the corner of the mouth, and then down into the neck. And we do this on both sides. If you look behind your ear, there's no hair growing. But when you do the facelift and you bring this hair-bearing skin up behind your ear, a man now has to lift up his earlobe and shave behind his ear, or he's going to be growing hair back there.
Wow.
Because most people want to know when can they go back and function in society.
Right.
And I tell them they are basically unfit for social consumption for 2 weeks. certainly after all the stitches are out. But a lot of that depends on how swollen they get and how much bruising they get. From a pain point of view, it's not a terribly painful operation. Why? Because we've cut most of the sensatory nerves when we make our incisions, so the skin kind of feels numb. Right after a facelift, if you had a facelift, right afterwards, the next few days, if you touch your cheeks, you could feel it, but it feels woody. It feels like you're touching someone else's cheek.
Facelifts?
Yeah, occasionally. Generally, we say that facelifts last 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
But in reality, if you do the underlying reconstruction that I told you about, the platysma plication, the SMAS, elevating the SMAS and getting rid of the thing, my facelifts last an average of 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
And now, if a person continues to go out in the sun, plays golf, etc., yes, the aging process, remember, never stops. From the moment I put in my last suture, the skin is still aging.
Right.